on the dot, and all of our speakers and our presenters are present. So anyway, I just want to say welcome and thank you all for joining us for the Illinois Extension webinar series on our values. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bobby Lewis Sibley, and I am the Outreach Associate for Strategy Planning and Implementation. The Living Our Values webinar series is actually designed to foster a deeper connection to the core values that shape Illinois Extension. So collaboration, credibility, inclusivity, and learning. Through this series, we aim to strengthen our shared understanding of these values, provide practical strategies for integrating them into our daily work, and cultivate a sense of unity across our entire organization. By engaging in these conversations, we reaffirm our commitment to excellence and ensure that our collective efforts continue to make a meaningful impact in the communities that we all serve. So before we begin, I do have a few housekeeping items to cover. So today's session is being recorded and we will be sharing it out within about 2 weeks of today. You are welcome to submit questions at any time using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We have reserved time for questions at the end of the presentations. And if you'd like to ask your question live, all you need to do is please raise your hand and we will actually unmute you. So now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Amanda, who will introduce our presenters for today's session. Amanda.
Thank you, Bobby. As Bobby shared, my name is Amanda Cole, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Strategy, Planning, and Implementation with Illinois Extension. We have 7 panelists who will be joining us for today's discussion. They are, you can do next slide, please. Kevin Carey, who currently serves as the Acting Director of 4-H Youth Development and a Senior Program Lead for Illinois Extension. Margaret Larson, a County Extension Director, and Grant McCarty, an Extension Educator, Local Food Systems and Small Farms. Next slide. Rounding out the rest of the panel are Karla Belzer, a County Extension Director, Bruce Black, Horticulture Educator, Jody Johnson, County Extension Director, and John Shadowens, a Community and Economic Development Educator. Now, we have some objectives of today's session. By the end of this webinar, participants will understand the Illinois Extension collaboration value and its importance, identify strategies for building and maintaining effective partnerships, and third, apply the collaboration value to real-life scenarios within their work. Collaboration has been defined through our strategic plan as we foster equitable and accountable relationships across the state to provide programs that meet each community's diverse needs. Now, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Dr. Kevin Carey.
Hello, everyone. I'm so thankful that I get to spend some time with you all today. Again, I'm Kevin Carey. I use he, him, his pronouns. I serve as the Acting Assistant Dean and Director of the Illinois 4-H program. It's a pure pleasure to be in a space with all of you as an extension community. I am a fortunate third generation 4-H'er from Grundy County, and to be able to serve in this leadership role is both a gift, a privilege, and an honor in so many ways. And I want to talk to you a bit about where we are in Illinois 4-H and how it relates to the collaboration part to the Illinois Extension Strategic Plan. Being part of the 4-H organization also allows us to connect to a national and global organization, specifically the Beyond Ready initiative and campaign that recently launched from our national 4-H organization. We know that our youth are being prepared for work and for life through our projects and our programs, and we want to continue to uplift that through opportunities like our Illinois Extension Strategic Plan, but also the work that we do day in, day out at the localized community level. At the state level of 4-H, we are fortunate to have many partners who do exceptional work with us through grants and through gifts. And so as we think about programming statewide, we're also thinking about how are we meeting today's job needs of our youth and their career interests while also matching that of our global and national community. And so we have partnered with Apple to do key work around STEM over the past 2 years to reach individuals in our communities and kids in our communities to better understand how to utilize digital technology. This has happened in a variety of ways, and many of the individuals, specifically our youth, who are part of those trainings, are getting opportunities to learn new data sets, new technologies, systems, app development, as well as with AT&T, helping understand digital literacy. And this not only impacts our youth who are part of 4-H, but our families to better understand how they can utilize technologies that are put in front of them in experiences that will allow them to better be able to meet a digital world that's in front of us. We also have a partnership with our United States Department of Agriculture through a grant and through key areas related to food systems and agricultural related careers. So our Regional Youth Leadership Advisory Team, through this grant, our YEA grant, we are able to reach youth of color who are interested in ag-related careers. I uplift these because I think there are ones that are national opportunities, grants, large-scale corporations that we're able to then deliver at the localized level to our youth in support with our staff collaboratively, with our volunteers collaboratively. And then it really does come down to, for us in 4-H, we need that internal staff engagement. And so we're fortunate to have over 150 staff across the state doing educator level work in 4-H, program coordinator level work in 4-H. And we provide the opportunity for them to bring their own passions, their own engagement, their own opportunities to a space each and every year and create work groups with key outcomes. And that might be delivering curriculum. That might be creating a new program. That might be an opportunity for us to train volunteers to ensure that we are being relevant in meeting localized data needs. And I want to uplift something that I think is most important to where we are today. Is one of our key statewide programs is the Welcome to Real World curriculum program signature initiative that we have been working with for the past several years. This relates directly to helping our youth be ready for work, whatever work looks like for them post their 4-H experience at the age of 18. And what life skills come with that. It's learning about financial responsibility. It's learning how to live in our communities and understand our communities and how I'm building relationships with those around me. And I think we have been really fortunate to be able to have that opportunity in front of us and give the training and the skills because we have staff who are invested in 4-H. And they're collaborating and growing with one another to make sure the right information is being put in front of our kids. And so I always like to uplift that example from Cindy, who's our career and college readiness specialist, to Shelby, who works over in Unit 10, and to Christy Stout, who's in Unit 27. All looks very different across the state. But when we bring ourselves together internally and collaborate, we create some curriculum that really can meet the needs of our kids and our families in a really positive, forward-moving way. So I want to talk about some key skills and partnerships that I know I talk about pretty frequently with our state 4-H staff and staff across the state. And I thought it was, I'm thankful I got to go first because I got to be able to put these out in front of you all because they uplift and will echo some stories and some direct narratives you're going to hear. For partnerships and collaboration in my world, it has to be clear and it has to be consistent. So we have been provided the opportunity to work with our Chicago Food Science Foundation to deliver some healthy living, food nutrition skill sets over the past several years. That foundation has provided gifts to our youth who are engaged in those project areas. it's a consistent and ongoing relationship, one that we see extremely valuable. And I've gotten to know in my world, as we're bringing a new healthy living specialist in on Monday this next week, I've gotten to know Linda because of that. And Linda and I know that we have to be very clear in our goals together. We have to be consistent in how we communicate with one another. And we have to ensure that it's all at the best interest of our youth, the staff that serve our youth, the volunteers, and the families that uplift those kids. It's also about connectivity to localized data to our donor relationships. And so if we're going to do key collaborative partnerships in our work to enhance the 4-H organization and positive youth development and thriving youth and beyond ready youth, we have to ensure that we're talking to our donors about what their interests are and matching that to the localized experiences across our state. 102 counties look 102 times different. And so we want to ensure that we're listening to that data and translating it in a positive and meaningful way to keep our sustained collaboration with our donors who are giving us dollars to do these kind of programming opportunities. And I think the last thing is ensuring that we're recognizing our collaborations. For collaboration purposes, I also think there has to be a little reciprocity. Like, what's in it for us together? I can sit and talk to someone about a collaborative opportunity, but if I'm only doing it because I need something from you versus what we need to do, what you need from me, then we're not doing this in the right ways. And it's not always financial. It's not always programmatic. It's a long-term relationship that we have to build together when it comes to a collaborative engagement. And so both recognition of that person, that organization, and their experiences, and our reciprocity in the sense of like, what can you provide us? What can I provide you? And what can we do together is, I think, a really key skill in that collaborative partnership opportunity. And so I just wanted to give some high-level overview of where Illinois 4-H is and how we do that. And I will turn it back over to you all.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Margaret and Grant, you're next.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Do you want to? Yep, there we are. All right. Grant and I have worked together for the last 12 years. We decided we were going to kind of focus on some of our activities in Stephenson County. The key collaborator that popped into my head immediately was Highland Community College. So I'll be addressing some of our work with that entity. Our office has been located here for many years. This is the Stephenson County Extension Office. Highland serves northwestern Illinois, 4 counties, parts of one of those 4, but they also serve Winnebago County for ag coursework, as the community college over there doesn't offer any agriculture. And in 2014, the agriculture program was rebuilt. It had kind of gone away somewhat. And so extension staff were part of the planning. We had input into the needs, and partnerships were a big part of that conversation back in 10 years ago. So there's been a long history of collaboration between Extension and 4-H and Highland Community College. Next slide, please. A little bit about our collaboration. I had to sit back and think about this. Even before I started here 20 years ago, local extension FCS staff were guest lecturing at Highland, and still are. The new student seminars, for example, in the fall and the spring, addressing nutrition issues, wellness issues, and consumer science issues. I had to think back. In 2006, we had a brand new extension program called Annie's Project. And I put it together here in Freeport. Highland was a collaborator with us and the Farm Bureau. We met here on campus. Highland faculty presented part of the curriculum for Annie's project. And Highland went so far as to award credit to participants in Annie's project at no cost. So that was a long time ago, but I think a key partnership, at least for me as a fairly new extension staff member. We also have test plots here on campus. And there are some that are led by ACES researchers that we're not necessarily involved in. Over the years, we've had industrial hemp test plots, obviously, that were ours. And currently we have a cover crop test plot program going, which is part of a larger statewide project happening. So as part of that, Extension's been involved in field days and putting them together. We've found that our involvement really strengthens the field day, and we've had great participation over the years. We've brought in, again, ACES faculty, as well as having Extension people talk. We hold a number of large conferences here on campus using their facilities. Annually, a large agronomy summit. Last year, we hosted the Tri-State Forest Stewardship Conference and had 250 people here from a number of states, a very large event. Every year we have Joys of Gardening, our garden day. We had a large industrial hemp conference a number of years ago. And then also we use their space for smaller one-off programs. On Thursday night, we'll kick off an in-person Master Gardener training, which will be held here on campus as well. So one note I wanted to mention about the Agronomy Summit and Grant's State Line Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference, which we hold over in Rockford. Each year, we invite the agriculture program at Highland to send their students to these events at no cost. This year, I believe we had about 20 at the Agronomy Summit. Highland also is doing an ag program for high school seniors. And so they brought 10 high school seniors to Agronomy Summit as well. State Line Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference. Every year, an ag faculty member shows up with a number of students. They actually come in separate cars, but we have about 20 students attend that conference as well. And that's over on the east side of Rockford, so it's not local. They're making an effort to get there because it's really worth their while to participate in that. Over the last few years, Unit 1 educators have consulted with Highland faculty on some course development. One is industrial hemp, which they put together a certificate program, and then Grant can address this more, but he assisted with developing a vegetable production course. I say this is a win-win-win. We win, Highland wins, their students win. We don't rent event space with our office. In other words, we're not paying for conference facilities or even meeting rooms year-round every day. We use the conference center as needed for our events. For them, we bring a lot of visitors to their campus, including youth when we have 4-H events here. I kind of like to think, someone who's been through 4-H comes to our office, comes to events that we have here on campus, like we'll have 4-H Fun Day on Saturday. They're used to this campus. It's going to be kind of a no-brainer to come here if that works for them. Our field days, the partnership allows for U of I faculty presence, and it's a draw for area producers. I heard that from the former chairman of the board, a large farmer. We really like Extension being involved because we bring more producers in. So in working together, we just share the planning, the promoting, and the coordination of the events. In 2016, as again, the ag program was being grown again, we worked together with the College of ACES. Lori Kramer was the associate dean at that time. She worked with Highland to sign a matriculation agreement with ACES. They did not have one previously. And so we, again, us welcoming their students to our conferences at no charge. They they're exposed to U of I information and research. In terms of, you know, these values, how this all works, what this process means or has meant for us, I've seen a need for flexibility. We've had 4 changes of leadership here at Highland in the time I've been here. Each president kind of looks at the collaboration differently, and some of it depends on what's happening on their campus. It certainly depends on what our staffing looks like. So as we've built staff since 2012 and added staff, definitely the collaboration is richer and more robust. We have to understand the strengths that each group brings to the collaboration. Years ago, as I was planning something with Highlands Business Institute, the director said, you go ahead and promote this and you go ahead and register people. And I was a little taken aback by that until she explained the layers that go through them even sending out a press release, as opposed to us just writing it here and sending it out. The fact that they are really set up on the academic schedule, so to pop something into the middle of the semester is difficult for them. So as we've moved forward, we kind of know what our role is and what their role is, and it's worked very well. We have a lot of support from their board members. Many are very involved with Extension. Our trust and support from their faculty is very steady. And a lot of us have personal relationships with the faculty that we work with. One served on the Extension Council for a number of years. And so she really enjoyed being in the know about what was going on in Extension. So our partnership allows us to reach their students and their high school program as well. And in my world, I hope that we're doing a little bit to help recruit students to the U of I College of Aces. And we're willing to do more as needed. Turn it over to Grant.
All right. Well, thank you, Margaret. So as mentioned, as we got started today, I am a local foods and small farms educator, and I work in this unit of Joe Davis, Stevenson, Winnebago counties. Primarily, I'm working with fruit and vegetable growers that sell directly to consumers at farmers markets, orchards, and pick your own operations. So I do a lot of in-person programming, virtual programming, as well as a lot of expert assistance. And thinking about today, as we were talking about Highland, I think it's also important that we kind of connect it all the way back to Freeport High School. When I got started in 2012, I had the opportunity to really help out and connect with Freeport High School, which is where Highland Community College is. And one of the things that I was able to really find was that the person that I needed for this collaboration to be effective was the high school teacher, Monica Pierce. And Monica Pierce was there for many years at Freeport High School, and then she moved down the road to Highland Community College, and a new teacher came on board at Freeport. And I think what was important guiding this relationship from Monica to Ben, the current teacher, was that Monica really trusted what I did, trusted what Extension does, and saw us as such an impactful collaborative partner in all of the program that they were going to be doing. And that's kind of been the through line as I've done most of my work moving forward, is that having that trust to begin with and also having open communication has really led to so much of the collaboration that we have done throughout the season. What's unique about Freeport High School is that they have a vegetable CSA program where students are working on it in the summertime. So they're selling, they're growing, and they are really engaging in this local community. One of the other things as we think about, especially with youth of color, is that many of the students that are involved in this program are youth of color, and they're also members of a group called Manners, which I was unfamiliar with until I learned more about from the high school teacher, Ben Skipor. These are also members of FFA. I think the other thing to highlight here is that some of them don't have any connection to Extension. They're not a part of the 4-H club. They've never attended Extension programming before. So this is kind of their first introduction to Extension, is through the work that we're doing at Freeport High School and sometimes at Highland Community College. The photo you see there is Ben Skipor. I am in the shorts, as you can see. Next slide, please. So some of the collaboration for both Highland Community College and Freeport High School has really leaned on expert assistance. Some of the issues they're having when it comes to the fruit trees, which you see here in this photo, some of the challenges they have with growing. So I am out there at their farm a couple times throughout the season, helping them figure out some of the challenges that they're facing. We've done vegetable curriculum development and assisted Monica at Highland Community College. For both Highland Community College and Freeport High School, we do a lot of guest lectures talking about what extension does, some of the growing issues that they might be facing, and helping students to learn and develop those skills, while also always highlighting University of Illinois, the College of ACES, and careers and extension. Almost all of the extension programming that we do is available for students to attend for free or a minimal amount. So it could be a 2-hour program on Purdy is promoted to them, available to them. The same with the state line Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference, where 120 commercial growers come every year. We always ensure that Highland Community College is a part of that, as well as highlighting that the students are there and that these growers should be interacting with them. Some of the simple collaborations, letters of support, we know that those are important for both organizations, and we always are available to provide them. They've helped with some of our field visits for master gardeners. And then the one unique thing I'll highlight is especially crops block grants. So next slide, please. So this block grant is overseen by the Illinois Department of Agriculture, and it is a way for extension educators, specialists, and campus researchers to be engaged in specialty crops production research. So commonly this is happening on campus. This is happening at some of our research farms around the state. But when it comes to a local educator, there is an inability to do that if they don't have access to land or to farm. So in 2022, we began some engagement with Ben Skipor at Freeport High School to determine if we could partner together, where we could grow strawberries, gather data, gather research, and then also allow for students to be engaged in the outreach of this. So it was really a way to benefit both of us. It was that we could get actual on-farm research to deliver results, deliver information to growers in Northern Illinois who needed to know if they should grow these annual strawberries, as well as to give students the ability to be engaged in University of Illinois research, something that Ben Skipor, the Freeport High School teacher, always echoes when we were out there picking strawberries, was letting these students know, like, hey, did you realize that you're engaging and you're collecting data for University of Illinois? You're doing research. I mean, that's such a win-win for both of us with it. And when we were able to then take this data and do extension presentations, reports, newsletters, we were able to help these growers in Northern Illinois determine whether they should grow or not grow strawberries. And truthfully, a lot of them realized they shouldn't grow strawberries. So this collaboration was so important, not just for the students, not just for the local extension unit, but also for these commercial growers in Northern Illinois. This is a $40,000 grant for those 2 years. I was the PI. And then we kind of came back again and realized that Freeport High School students needed some additional assistance and research. And so now Freeport High School is the PI for this other tomato cover crop grant that will start like in 2 months for the next 2 years. Next slide, please. So just to mention, quickly some things, this takes time. I mean, yes, this has been a 10-year-old relationship at this point, really engaging back and forth, keeping communication open, and recognizing that there can be missteps along the way. We've had conversations where collaborations between myself and Highland didn't align, where they didn't get things out of it that they were really hoping they were going to get out of it. And so it's not necessarily a mistrust, but it is a step back and a way to really recognize where we can align our missions together for both of it. And the thing that I always kind of share here is that, the person, the team you need may not be there yet or ever. We are really fortunate that we have these individuals at Highland Community College and Freeport High School that really recognize the ability to collaborate on impactful programming for both of our organizations. So with that, I thank you for your time for letting us highlight that unique collaboration at Unit 1.
Great. Thanks so much, Margaret and Grant. We really appreciate it. So next up is actually Karla, Belzer, and Bruce Black.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Karla Belzer, County Director, University of Illinois Extension, Caroline Whiteside County, so northwest corner of the state. And in our portion of the presentation, we wanted to talk a little bit about our collaboration with Sauk Valley Community College. So super great that two partnerships, two collaborations with community colleges are back to back, and we really want to share a little bit about what we've done and what we've learned so far. So when I think about the core value of collaboration, the main word that sticks out to me, or the main concept that I consider, is relationships. So we all know that key elements to any relationships include trust, communication, shared goals, and adaptability, things that we've heard from both Kevin and Grant and Margaret. Relationships also take time to build, which requires patience and, on some level, proving yourself even to your potential collaborators. So just a little bit of background on this collaborative relationship that we built. Back in 2011, our extension offices were actually housed at Sauk Valley Community College. And in 2015, the college underwent a remodeling process that they essentially didn't have room for us anymore, which was fine. They were under different leadership at the time. There was really no plan to keep us housed on campus. So we made the strategic move to relocate and move off campus, but we still maintained an acquaintance level relationship with the college. So we provided occasional programming, and we used their space, and we did guest lectures and those types of things. But there was no real formal collaborative relationship. But in 2023, an opportunity arose, and we just love when that happens. Sauk essentially was having a hard time filling an open agriculture professor position. They had a job search, it was failed. So they approached Illinois Extension. We had built a relationship with them, and our horticulture educator, who you'll hear from in a moment, had done some great guest lecturing in their courses over the years. So they approached us with the opportunity to enter into a formal agreement with them where we would provide certain services and they would pay us for them. So it was a really great opportunity, again, to expand our reach and really come together around our shared goal of strengthening agricultural education in our region. So on the next slide, you can see this is actually a picture of our signing day for our formal agreement. It was signed into action on October 13th of 2023. And there were some key components for this official collaboration that included a restoration of a garden space on the campus. Bruce was tagged with coordinating and managing a very large greenhouse, which you'll learn about in a minute. He was also responsible for teaching a horticultural course on campus. And then we were also agreeing to provide some extension programs as a part of community education initiatives. So I'm going to turn it over to Bruce so he can talk a little bit more about those programs in specific.
All right, thank you, Karla. Good morning, everybody. So as Karla mentioned, one of the key agreement parts was before Extension had left Sauk Valley Community College, the East Garden was one of our Master Gardener demonstration spots. And so it was always well maintained, highly visible on campus. And with our absence, they had tried some things and they ended up putting some prairie plants in there, and it became a very overgrown and unattended spot. And so they asked us to lead an educational opportunity to get their students involved of restoring this high traffic, highly visible area. Mainly graduation takes place right inside the door, and so they use it a lot for pictures. And so one of the things we had to stress with them with the restoration of this area is our volunteers do not do the work. So the Master Gardener program is not a labor program. And so we really stressed from the beginning that any involvement of our Master Gardeners are going to be as teachers or educational consultants. And so we worked with the Science Club here on campus, which was one of our first early partnerships, and some students and some staff to turn this area into a very beautiful multicolored entrance. So next slide, please. I'll talk about our horticulture class and the greenhouse development. So this started with our signing in 2013 in the fall, and really boots on the ground January 15th of the next year, 2024. We need you to teach this class. We have students who are enrolled in this. And so it was the development of the entire course for introductory to horticulture. And as you can see, Karla was not exaggerating with the size of the greenhouse. So they initially proposed a quarter of the space and ended up, after some community organizations have gotten involved, with a 6,000 square foot greenhouse. And so with the partnership, this was just a shell of a greenhouse. It had the basic outer equipment, but it was really, we need the equipment in there as well. So students during the course of the project got all the hands-on learning that you would have with setting up a greenhouse and teaching, or learning in a greenhouse, field trips, as well as assembling the equipment, and selected a wide variety of crops. And so next slide, I'll talk about our expanded community education. So Extension is known for putting education into the community, and Sauk Valley has a specific department of community education that we worked with to really promote not only more horticulture programs or agriculture programs in our community, but also expanded into some 4-H programming through the College for Kids program and the community action projects for the environment. This also has led to partnerships with their impact program, which is an earned tuition incentive for high school students, as well as increasing our involvement in many community events, specifically like the Child's Fair that is held at Sauk. Our goal has really been to provide 2 to 4 programs each of the trimesters, spring, summer, and fall. And so we've been actually exceeding that goal to over deliver for our partnership. So next slide, please. I'll talk about some of our measurable incomes or outcomes. We've had 3 new community partnerships that have developed since entering into this agreement with Sauk, with the city of Amboy, a number of churches, a local horticultural business that provides lighting that is all made here in the United States. And we're developing additional partnerships this spring as we speak. We've had a hand in increasing their enrollment in the ag program, and this semester we've actually had an increase in the horticulture students who have joined the program. We've I hinted at the collaboration with the Science Club, and our expert assistance calls that we take at the office have increased as well. We hit a 4-year high in getting 244 calls from our community to be answered by our staff. And then to round up some strategies for effective collaboration, regular meetings and check-ins have been one that has been very key, as our staff are widely spread just checking in with everybody, because everybody comes and goes to different parts of campus. The campus staff are stationed everywhere. So having those moments to really bring things together. Sitting down and having the agreement, bringing everybody together to kind of develop the vision and what experts need to be at the table to make the decisions for the partnership to really blossom. One key strategy that we've found very effective, as I mentioned previously, is under promise and over deliver. And so provide more than is expected, so then that they share your praises with the community. And I think that's been one of those strategies that has helped to increase our expert assistance. And then structured planning. So Karla and I had a meeting to say, we've got all of these plates spinning in the air. How can we really develop a concise vision for moving forward? So Karla, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So with a lot of collaborations and partnerships, and as you're building these things, sometimes it can be difficult to know where to start with those projects. So on the next slide, we actually want to just share the process that we used. This collaboration had many, many moving parts and many big projects. And to be honest, in the beginning, it could be really overwhelming to know exactly where to start. So we borrowed a tool from David Horsager, who is actually an Extension annual conference keynote speaker several years ago, and we developed a 90-day quick plan. So Bruce and I sat down and we got some strategic clarity around the things that we wanted to accomplish in the first 90 days around each step of our agreement. And then we set really tangible goals so we could hold ourselves accountable, and so we could really parse out the work and not and give some direction for our work as well. So it was a really great opportunity. So we just wanted to kind of end our time together to talk about some lessons that we've learned, and they're going to be repeats of some things that you have heard from the other presenters as well. So we've had to really focus on adaptability. You know, things didn't go well with or as planned with the greenhouse or our program marketing. So we've had to work through some of those things and be flexible and adaptable. We also found that we really are stronger together. Our reach for programming has vastly expanded due to the college's reach in the community. And we also, you know, are having that reciprocal relationship where we're bringing people into the college. We also think it's important to be careful what you say yes to. Bruce kind of alluded to that in terms of the master gardeners and what they could and could not do in their consultation work. So being aware of those boundaries and what's inside your scope and outside your scope. And we also think it's important to resist the urge to overcommit and overprogram. This partnership and collaboration has gone really, really well, and it's very tempting just to throw all of our programming out at SOC. But we do need to recognize the need to balance so that we're not overcommitted to the partnership and that we're not siloed into that partnership. So we need to just be mindful of that. They have great space. They're awesome to work with. They have awesome reach in the community, but we need to remember that at our core, we serve all of our county and you know, really adhere to that as well. And then finally, you can do anything, but not everything, at least not all at once. So brainstorm again those ideas that you can accomplish and collaborate with your team members and decide as a team how to prioritize those projects with which references that 90-day plan. So just to kind of end, I just want to highlight, I think this picture, this last closing picture of our time together really highlights the trust level that we have in communication. So if you could go to the next slide, please. This is a picture of our unit's first ever pumpkin smash, which we held in the fall of last year. So we were just a year into our collaborative partnership, and we approached college leadership and said, hey, can we smash pumpkins on your property? Can we launch them? Can we shoot them from a catapult? You know, which involves risk. So for me, their yes to this type of program really circles back to the level of strength and trust that we have in our relationship. They've expressed their satisfaction with this collaboration. They have, invited us to all the tables that we should be at. But the combination of the pumpkin smash and letting us do something kind of risky and new to the area was definitely evidence. And just finally, I actually had in conversations about reserving a room for a 4-H event earlier this past year. I was having a conversation with their room scheduler, and when I was inquiring about cost, without a missing a beat, the SOC employee said to me, "Well, extension is a part of us." And it was then that I knew that we were fully ingrained into this collaboration, and it really was a result of our dedication, our effort, and patience in building and nurturing and maintaining that relationship over the course of the past 10 years. So I'm very confident in saying that our relationship is stronger than ever, and we're very excited locally to see about what opportunities await us in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Karla and Bruce. And Bruce, I guess you get extra points today. Love the use of the strategic planning background that you had. So with that, we're going to move on. So next, you're going to hear from Jody Johnson and John Shadowen. So Jody and John.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. If you would go ahead and advance the slide. So our story begins in the need with food access to our area. My name is Jody Johnson. I'm the County Extension Director with Unit 27. We serve Alexander, Johnson, Massac, Pulaski, and Union County. Looking at food access in our area, I discovered starting probably in 2013, that there was a food shortage in our area. The SNAP-Ed administration provided an opportunity called Health Equity Achieve Together program, and called the HEAT project. So we used the HEAT project as that catalyst to help initiate what we needed to address the disparities in access to essential health and wellness resources across the 5 counties. We rooted it in a community-driven approach. HEAT emerged from the collaborative efforts among the local organizations, community leaders, and the residents, all working toward a sustainable solution to improve our health outcomes. So this led us to a community survey that helped us discover the public's limited access to food. So what we decided to do was to pursue a couple of things, one being grocery stores and another being the food, a mobile food pantry. So next slide, please. So in order to come to the decision, we use some key principles, and that includes, pardon me. Press the slide one more time. There you go. So the key principles include trust. The project was built on authentic relationships with community members and stakeholders, ensuring their voices guided decision making. It involves communication, open and transparent dialogue, allowed concerns to be heard and addressed, fostering a shared sense of purpose. The shared goals or aligning the partners around common objectives such as improving food access, strengthening collaboration and impact. The inclusivity piece, the initialized prioritized input from diverse community members, ensuring solutions met the needs of all population, including underserved groups. We wanted everybody to have a seat at the table. Adaptability, the flexibility in approaches allowed HEAT to adjust strategies based on the ongoing feedback and in those emergent strategies. So next slide, please. And yeah, there you go. So we used some tools and techniques to accomplish this. Some collaboration platforms that we used digital technology. So if there's anything good that come out of COVID, I think that we discovered the value of using digital platforms for program delivery and productive meetings. So we did use Zoom, Teams, but we also still do face-to-face meetings whenever possible. The stakeholder mapping was another important tool. We used that to discover what resources that our collaborators had. What do you have that we don't have? And quite frankly, that's what makes our region down here so rich for collaborations is because we are resource starved. So we have to rely on each other to maximize those opportunities. The feedback loops, there's always, we make it as much effort as we can to create continuous conversations with stakeholders. We want that feedback so that we can pivot where we need to pivot and keep moving forward. So yeah, next slide. Now John's going to share with you the work specific to Carol that we did. So John, thanks.
Yeah, so when we took the HEAP project, there were several different deliverables that were going to come along with this. And one of them was serving the population of Cairo, Illinois. And if you can take a look, you'll see that they've suffered an exodus over the last century, 89% loss of their population. And their last grocery store had closed about 7.5 years before we started really engaging the community on food insecurity. If you study Cairo, there are books written on Cairo. There's all sorts of interesting stuff on the internet about Cairo. And what you'll see is a very fractured social structure with a history of political corruption, infighting, racial strife, poor leadership. And so it was already a very challenged community. There was not a lot of infrastructure to work with. So our task was to create a cooperative grocery store in a historically divided community. Next slide. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the biggest investment I made was just with time, building and growing relationships in people's living rooms, at the library. See, there aren't any public places really to meet in Cairo. There are no grocery store, or there's no like coffee shops or community places. So it was just me hanging out in parking lots, talking with people, hanging out in their homes. But listening to them, brainstorming, and really just trying to establish trust. It's not always easy to come into a community, predominantly African American, 75% poverty rate, as a master degree professional, and gain that trust right out of the gate. I mean, there were hurdles there for sure. But we organized community sessions. We laid out some options and some ideas for them. We formed a steering committee that was a cross section of people from business, health, local government, engaged citizens. We were providing very structured facilitation. That's one of the things that probably advanced this project more than anything, was getting this group together and focused. Weekly meetings, everybody had short-term tasks. They had goals that were established each week for all the members to achieve. And that allowed us to actually get a store up and running in about 1.5 years, where oftentimes community co-ops can take anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 years. A lot of information gathering, as Jody talked about. We did surveys. We were constantly talking with anybody and everybody about what they wanted. But then we were also explaining the concepts. What is a co-op? That was a foreign concept to a lot of folks in the community. They had no experience with co-ops. We were getting their feedback. And then there was a lot of resolving conflict. Because it is a kind of a fractured community. There were people who didn't want to come to the table if somebody else was already at the table. But I'm proud to say that we got some collaboration among people who were just not naturally aligned. And then we just boldly sought grants. We were out there recruiting memberships and shareholders. We partnered with Kroger to get donations of some equipment. And I can tell you this project would not have been possible without deep partnership and collaboration with WIU, particularly Sean Park. Somebody who's really emerged as a very close friend of mine, and was vital to the success of this project. Next. Yeah, okay. This is just the different partners that we managed to cobble together to open Rise Community Market. And I mean, you can see Builders Initiative provided funding. Illinois Innovation Network linked us up with some funding. I wish I had time to go into it, but we had a workforce partnership with a program called HCCTP. It was operated by in a joint effort by Johnny Logan College, Shawnee Community College, that was training students, high school dropouts, how to develop building skills. And they came in and we offered them space in this building in exchange for them to do some voluntary work. And that was very successful. We got a lot of the store remodel and preparation done through that. Next. So what did we learn? Even when you seek the broadest possible coalition in a community that has that much history of division, some citizens are just not going to get on board, no matter how much they need the food, no matter how inconvenient it is for them to get food anywhere else. We had people who literally said, "I will never shop at that store because I don't like who's on the co-op board," and that ultimately the store struggled because of that. We also learned there's a very fine line separating technical assistance from empowering. If you want to get actual results, sometimes you're tempted to walk this line and start enabling others, the partners in the community that want the work, but aren't willing to do it themselves. What we learned from that is every bit of overstep we kind of made with enabling added to the sustainability problem. Like once we stepped back, there was a lot that the community just was not ready to take on themselves. So it pays to do your research on a community's history, especially one with a long storied history like Cairo. So if you understand the full range of social dynamics in play, you will be a little bit better advantaged in being able to navigate, all kinds of conflict and dissension. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you for your time. I appreciate being a part of the panel today.
Great. Thank you, Jody and John. I actually had the pleasure of being at the open house when you guys opened, or your grand opening. So that was amazing. So just want to thank all our presenters for sharing all your examples of collaboration with us. Definitely some common themes that hopefully other people have picked up on. And that is what I had jotted down were things like clear communication and a shared vision and reciprocal relationships. So at this time, are there any questions that anyone has for our panelists? So I'll just give it a quick minute that if anybody wants to raise your hand or put a question in the question and answer box. So there is a question in the chat. How is the Rise Co-op doing now, John and Jody?
Unfortunately, it closed in December, which was part of the sustainability problem that we talked about. The board itself is still intact today, the co-op board, but there's quite a bit of dissension and disagreement on how to move forward. So we're stepping back in sort of cautiously to see if we can kind of help direct that. I mean, it's still a food desert. It still needs help. But I'm not sure the co-op model is going to be the way that it's going to succeed in the future. Sean and I are talking about maybe helping them with some other strategies, like a municipally owned store or some other sort of arrangement that's not a co-op.
Okay. I see Larissa has her hand up. Is that correct? Cannot find her to unmute her.
I unmuted her.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Larissa, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Ms. Bobby. Sounds like to me, and I don't want to be way off track, but I don't know if I am or not. In our efforts as extension for collaborations is not only in the area or the aspect of collaborating with our partners in the community to make our programs or to strengthen our programs and so forth, but also within extension and the roles that we work in. For instance, I'm a community outreach worker currently, and where there's opportunity for layering it seems like, just from listening to this webinar thus far, it seems like collaboration and layering is encouraged within extension with all programs. Like, for instance, again, I'm a community outreach worker, and it sounds like to me that collaboration is encouraged with the 4-H programs, with the horticulture programs, and all the other programs within extension.
Yeah, you have really hit the nail on the head, and that's a little bit of what Kevin Carey was talking about when, he presented from that, larger, like high level perspective of the work that 4-H does. So Kevin, I don't know if you're still on and you want to speak to that a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay.
Yeah, I will just say, Larissa, I think what you're articulating is what I mean when I say the internal partnerships that we are delivering to one another across all of our extension programs are the things that then model what we can do externally. And so there's opportunity that exists in our world of 4-H and how we serve our youth around the work that we do around food access, or around how we work with our master naturalist in NREE and our junior master naturalist in 4-H. And so there's collaborative programmatic outputs that exist already. But I think that, I think Karla said it best, that we can also say no when it's not the right time, but sometimes the yes makes total sense. And so I would want anyone on here to consider, the intersections of our output programmatically to be possibilities for a future collaboration. And if we do it well internally with one another as staff, we then tell a better story for those outside of us who don't understand the day-to-day work that we do, and can make it more possible to help a succeeding lifelong experience through extensions programs. That's at least how I see it, and how I believe, extension is a lifelong experience. And I'm very fortunate that 4-Hers get to learn that early on and then get to be part of us for many, many years to come. So hopefully that answers a little bit more to your question or gives some philosophy to it.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
It does. And thank you. Thank you all for taking the question or the comment. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's see. We got a couple more. Are there any bullet point strategies to improve varied local organizations become more effective or competent so that they can be effective, knowledgeable, and sustainable partnerships? One of our panelists want to take that one? I can read it again. And Jonathan, the person asking the question, is actually one of our ESAC members. So we do have some ESAC folks on today. So thank you for being on. So the question again is, are there any bullet point strategies to improve varied local organizations become more effective or competent so that they can be effective, knowledgeable, and sustainable partnerships?
I might add, it's not necessarily a bullet point, but I think whoever is leading some of the collaboration really needs to have broad vision. They need to, as I think it was Karla or one of the other groups was talking about, what's in it for each partner. You also need to be thinking through all the things that can go wrong. And you have to be hyper vigilant, I think, for people's satisfaction. Are people starting to get frustrated or irritated? It really does take a lot of social skill, I think, to get a successful partnership in motion and make it sustainable. Sometimes you can accomplish a short-term goal, but in the long term, people may walk.
And
John.
I would just add here too, like localized partnership collaboration means that we also have to be willing to learn about what their specific needs are. And if we're not willing to ask that question and listen, we're not going to be effective nor competent in a relationship. And I think how we do that is through slow and steady communication to be able to better understand who and what they're trying to serve and better provide, and also be okay with, like, we're not the right partner for you. We're not the right collaborator, but I can tell you someone who is, and I can give you a better person to talk to about that. It's also okay to be like, we're not the right place, or we're not the right area and extension. So just an important note there.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Kevin. I like that. Also, just, extension providing a resource to another partner. So we have another question. So how about internal collaboration across units and programs? How do we foster and encourage that? Any of our panelists want to take a stab?
Bobby,
Yeah, Jody.
Bobby, I will. So this kind of goes back to Larissa's comment and question a while ago. I wanted to commend her as a community outreach worker. Sometimes in that role in our organization, it can be challenging about how you fit into extension. And so in our particular case, working with the Rise Community Market, that actually created opportunity for our community outreach worker, Sarita Sawyer, one of our champion down here, to engage in that layering, exactly what you were talking about, Larissa. So I think those opportunities exist in all of the programming that we do. It's just a matter of, as internal workers, if we look outside of what we will often call silos, we operate in silos in our program areas. So when we can open our lenses to beyond just our program area and see what others are doing, even inside of our units, then how can we work together? How can we collaborate? And I think I never heard the definition, but I think it's important as an organization that we understand the difference between collaboration and partnership. I think we're guilty of intertwining those words as they're the same, but they're not. Collaboration's more of a short-term relationship for a specific purpose, and a partnership is more of a long-term, more structured. And I won't get into it, but I saw that happen with our work with the HEAT project. What started out as an initial collaboration, we found out that, hey, we're doing some really cool stuff together. Let's take this relationship to another level. And what that meant was we started doing formal agreements, doing those kinds of documents between the organizations. And so that was the true sense of partnership at that point. So hopefully that answered that question, provided some more insight. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for taking that, Jody. And I will just share that the feedback, both internally and externally, that we got from the different surveys and things that we did throughout the strategic planning process, breaking down the silos was like a very high rated thing that extension needed to do. So we saw that coming both from internal staff who reported that, and then our external partners and people that we serve. So thank you to whoever asked that question. It's very important that extension continues to break down those silos internally, and we work together. So I know that we're a little bit over time. So with that, I will say that if you do have any other questions that you haven't been able to ask today, you could go ahead and email those to Amanda and I, and we can get those to the presenters to answer. But with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Amanda to close us out.
Thank you again to our panelists and to all of our participants today. Our call to action, or the challenge, is to identify and act on one new collaboration opportunity in the next coming month, and also find an accountability partner to help follow up with you. I want to remind everyone today is the first session of a 4-part series. Our next webinar will focus on the value of credibility and will take place on Tuesday, March 25th. Our presenter that day will be Dr. Dariah Kemp. We hope that you can join us then, and we wish you a great rest of your day. Thank you.